Hey guys! So I am recording on my computer this time instead of my phone, so we're gonna see how this goes. So lots to cover. Firstly, if you look down below in the comments, you will see a link to my GoFundMe page. I'm really sorry, I should not do that. Yes, crunching numbers. Still, I have about 3 months left of rent to pay off, and when we're traveling, I'm having to buy food on the go, and thankfully they pay for our travel, and once we get there, usually the food is provided for, but it's just on the way, having to get food. I do splurge for some coffee, but only because, okay, you guys know me, and I'm sure you've all seen the photo album of me on every other missions trip, and I am just conked out. Any bus, train, whatever, everybody's smiling for a picture, and I'm in the back just mouth open, everything. So, because I'm not allowed to drive over here and pitch in that way, just because of legal stuff, because I'm not a UK citizen, there's only 2 girls or 3 girls that have to do all the driving. So if I want to be able to stay awake and help them stay awake on our long journeys, I have to splurge for some coffee on the way, keep me awake so I can keep them awake. So I do splurge for that, but I think it's a good excuse. Yeah, so rent and but then also transportation within England, still going in to the studios for rehearsals and stuff like that, so I'm still going to pay for transportation in that sense. Also have my plane ticket home, which, if you want to see me back in America, I mean, I would love to stay here, but legally, if you would help me so that I do not end up in trouble, I would love the support to help me get my plane ticket home, and that's kind of, a big necessity. So yeah, that way I can tell you all my stories in person and you don't have to watch them on the computer. Anyways, and you can click on the GoFundMe page. Literally, guys, any support that you can give, $5 to 500, anything would be just amazing and so appreciative and would help out so much. Okay, so get that out of the way. So tour has been amazing. We had 2 first shows here in London and at 2 different churches. Just incredible, just so much encouragement afterwards, and some people who've never seen Christian dance before, and just coming up to us and being like, I feel so encouraged after your show, and I'm leaving, just, it was very thought-provoking, but I'm not walking away with heaviness. I'm walking away with this lightness and encouragement, and that's what it's all about. We bring up topics that are rough and tough, and but there is always hope in the end, and we always make sure that we show that hope, and that hope is only through Jesus Christ. And sometimes it's more of an abstract way of demonstrating it. Sometimes it's very much, here it is. This is it. Sorry, something came up on the screen. Yeah, so those went great. Then last Friday, so a week, well, I can't remember the date. Anyways, a few Fridays ago, woke up at 5:45 and left to drive to North Wales. So it took us about 5.5 hours to get there, for a conference, like a Christian family festival conference thing called Word Alive, not Word of Life, which I kept calling it. And here, so in America, it seems like a lot of the conferences that I would teach at and stuff were either held at big mega churches or university campuses, whereas here they don't really have any big mega churches. So they actually have their festivals and conferences at like family fun resorts, like beach resorts, and they just do it during kind of the off season before, summertime and everything. So we get there and we turn in, I don't know what that is. We like turn into this place called Pontons. You just see like playgrounds and like themed animals. I don't know. It was just weird. And we were like, is this it? And but yeah, so we stayed at this place called Pontons. We stayed in like these beach chalet places, and yeah, it was really great. We were there for 2 nights. So we got there, and we had to perform the first day that we got there, but our show wasn't until 10:30 in the evening because we were the after hours show. So we had to like keep ourselves awake, and we had to set up our floor and our backdrop and get everything out of the van. Show was absolutely incredible. Talking to the people afterwards and just the people we got to meet. I got to meet, her name is actually Chrissy as well, Chrissy Brown, and she was one of the original Springs dancers for Springs Dance Company, which is the company that I do the apprenticeship for. So that was absolutely amazing, just chatting with her, and she was so excited to see where Springs is now, because Springs has been around since the 70s. So yeah, so it was really fun getting to meet her, and just all the people we talked to, and they were just so amazed. They'd never like seen anything like that before, and of course for me, like, Christian dance is so common. Like, grew up at Steps of Faith, and went to Bellhaven, and there's Christian professional dance companies everywhere, all over America, and here there's just Springs and Rebirth. I dance with the only two in England, and so I was talking to two girls that were, I think, in their early 20s, and I was saying how, like, yeah, well, I grew up in a Christian dance studio, and they were like, what? That exists? Like, they'd never heard of anything like that before. They were like, can you please come over here and like start one up for us, and I was like, maybe, so that was just, it was really awesome, but of course sad at the same time. And yeah, and then the next day, we went to the beach, even though it was absolutely freezing. Oh my gosh. This is the like coldest time of the year, like for the water. It's the coldest right now because it's getting all the melted ice from the mountains from winter. So, but two girls, one of them, Miyu, she's from Japan, hasn't been to the ocean in like 10 years. So she was like, I don't care, I'm getting in the water, I'm going to the beach. So the rest of us kind of, I mean, I would have gone if we had gone earlier in the day when the sun was still out. But the time of day we went, it was getting cloudy, and it was extremely windy, and it just got so cold. And I was just like, we still have to perform. I was like, my joints just, I'm old. So I put my feet in, and they went numb, and I was like, okay, cool. But they like just ran in, and they were like, you don't feel it once you get in there, and I'm like, it's because your whole body is numb, that's why. But they loved it, and it was so much fun watching them just like run in there, and just seeing their faces. So that was good. And then yeah, after our last show, we packed up. Next morning we headed off to Nottingham to spend the night there. And we had like a spur of the moment. This church, one of the families we were staying with that was hosting us, they were having a special evening service, and so they wanted us to dance, and so it was kind of, we like drove in, and we were all just so dead, but we knew like this will be a blessing to them. It's not about us. So even though we could not even like pick our, we were sitting in the chairs, just like, we have to dance in 30 minutes, what? Like, it was crazy. But yeah, afterwards it was totally worth it, and they just, they were so blessed by it, and they just kept thanking us, and saying, you were so tired, but just thank you so much for what you did, and so it made it worth it. So I spent the night in Nottingham, and then the next morning we split for another Christian conference called Spring Harvest, and they hold it in 2 different places in England, Skegness and Minehead. So both sites wanted us on the same week. So we had to split up the group, so half went to Minehead, my half went to Skegness, which is much more north, and but still on the beach. And so again, we stayed at a family fun resort. This one was much bigger, much nicer, called Butlins. It's a very well-known beach resort around here, and absolutely crazy, like these pool with this water slide that went like, you get in and when you're inside the building, but then the water slide is like goes outside and swirls, and then you end up back inside in the pool. It was really cool. We never got to go on it, but it looked really cool, and we were just so busy. So yeah, we were there from Monday to Friday. Go, 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 every day. Well, I woke up at about 6:20, 6:30 every morning. Other people, 5:30. Well, we got about 6:20, 6:30 every morning. Went and had breakfast. We ate at a cafe, so it was really, like a cafeteria. So really awesome food. Always felt extremely full. Then we'd head over to the big tent, and yeah, it was like this ginormous tent that seated about 3,000 people, 3 to 4,000 people. And we'd have the big start. So it was more, because it's like a family thing, the theme was unbelievable. So it was all about like superheroes and stuff, and how God is just so unbelievable, just like, you know, superheroes. And so there was like a theater ministry group that was there, and it was these 3 guys, and so they were the Unbelievables. And so they would do a skit every morning, and they were just hilarious and so good. And then we would dance during like the worship time, and then they had like their theme song for the Unbelievables. So we had like motions that we did, and we'd bring up kids with their like superhero outfits on. And so it was just a fun way to start the morning. So it was 30 minutes, but we would jam pack a lot inside of it. And then throughout the rest of the day, you know, we taught a workshop one day, and we did the song, oh, happy day, you wash my sin away. So very upbeat, like energetic kind of song. And we had, I would say about 50 to 60 people come to our workshop, which is really incredible. And so we had a lot of, you know, set choreography, which is really fun. And but then we also had lots of moments where we did originally have something like planned for that section of the song, but as like the people got in there and we saw how many people we had, and just the way that the vibe we were feeling and everything, and we were just like, nah, they just need a chance to just like worship. And the song is all about freedom, and we really just felt like, you know, we wanted them to find freedom in movement during worship. So there'd be parts of the song where it'd be like, just freestyle, just go, and you know, just like experience heaven, and just like, yeah, just dance, just be free, you know, and just worship. And you'd see these women who like couldn't even do a grapevine, you know, and are really like watching, trying to get the choreography. But then when it came time for the freestyle, everybody was just like dancing around, and like, oh my gosh, it was just so beautiful to watch and see. And then you have the little girls dancing around, and like one old man, and he was so precious. But he was trying so hard, he did so well. And yeah, and just the response we got after it, because for me, like, those of you that know me, you know, I can be very competitive. When I was younger, it was very bad, being very competitive, being all about me. And so I work really hard, and I have to pray a lot that, you know, whatever I do with dance is very genuine, and is very pure and real. That whenever, especially if I'm dancing during worship, I have to really focus on, like, this is not about me, like, not about me at all. I'm trying to help people, you know, and worship in a different way, and that kind of thing. But, you know, sometimes when people are watching you during a worship service, and you're like up on stage dancing around and stuff, you never know what people are thinking. If they think it's distracting, or they think like, oh, they think that, you know, they're dancers and they're so cool or whatever. And but it was so awesome. After the workshop, a lady just came up to me, and she was just like, I just want to say thank you so much, because every time I see you guys up on stage, you're so genuine, and you're so pure in your dancing, and it's honest. And it's she's like, she used to dance, and she tried to start stuff up at her church, and she just couldn't, you know, get the people that were into it. But the people who were into it, it was all about them, and not because they wanted to, you know, help the body, you know, feel that freedom and worship through dance and everything. So that was really like honoring and just amazing, to be like, okay, people, it is coming off that we are striving to be honest and genuine in this. And because dance is very much, it's very much a field where it can be very selfish and just me, striving to get the solos, striving, to be the center stage. But it can also be a very selfless act, so it just totally depends on which route you're taking. And we want it to be very selfless. We're taking this gift that we have, and we're saying we don't want to be center stage. We don't care if we get the solo. We just want to be able to take this gift, lay it before God, give it to Him, and use it and offer it to the people who are watching, and hopefully inspire them. Because some people are visual learners, so it's one thing to like hear the worship music that you've heard all the time, but then if you're seeing it being portrayed out, it brings something different, and it can touch people in such a different way. And so anyway, so that was really awesome for her to come up and tell us that. And and then I'll have to tell you another testimony in the next video because it'll just take too long. But just so many testimonies came, and we were just so encouraged the whole week. People just coming up to us after, because in the evenings we'd go back to the big tent, and it would be a much more longer celebration service type thing, and big band, or not big band, but a good sized worship band. His name is Pete James. Look him up. Great music. Just very humble man. So genuine and pure, and would just come up to us and be like, here's the song list, you guys we just really want to go for it tonight, and just really help these people to experience Jesus, so you guys just do your thing, and we're gonna bang it out. And so he was very encouraging, and just loved that we were up there with him. And so we would dance during worship in the evenings before they would have their speaker come up. And just afterwards we'd have people, as they were leaving the tent, just come up to us and be like, we've been watching you all week, thank you so much for what you're doing. And it's so beautiful, and it's so worshipful, and it's really inspiring, and all this kind of stuff. And it wasn't just women, actually. It was more of the time it was these like elderly gentlemen that were coming up and thanking us. And I found that very, like, I don't know, because a lot of times, especially in America, it's usually the women that will come up to me and be like, thank you so much, that was beautiful, and but here, to see these like grown men who are clearly not dancers at all, but just come up and just be like, that was so touching, and for them to be moved by dance, it was just kind of like, wow, like God's really doing something here. Because I think it's harder for men to dance in church than it would be for women. Anytime we do a workshop, we say it's for all genders, but who comes? It's the women of the church. When dance is for anyone, men, the Bible just talks about using your entire being to worship God, and but it's definitely harder for men to they like to just stand there and raise their hands, and are too timid to try to start moving and dancing and stuff. So so I just found that really, really cool, that they were coming up and just really encouraging us and everything. So just an amazing week. It was such a family feel there. Our team leader was awesome, and it was just so chill and laid back because it was so well prepared and planned beforehand. So when we got there, it was just kind of like, all right, this is what you're doing. You know what to do, and just go and do. So we were never stressed or anything, and we had our show one day in the afternoon and did a Q&A afterwards, and we always have little girls asking, how old do you have to be in Elevate? And but it's always really encouraging, and so it was really good. We were sad to leave. We were exhausted because we wouldn't get to bed until after midnight most nights, and then waking up at 6:30. So our bodies were just like, whoa, what are you doing to me? But it was awesome. We kind of were like, can we go home for the weekend and then come back and do it all over again? So yeah, so I mean, for me, I love conferences and teaching workshops like that in places like that. So that was definitely like such a, I don't know, refreshment for me, and because it's definitely my thing and what I love to do. So yeah, it was really cool, and met some people that, you know, we had mutual connections, and 'cause Christian arts, it's just a small world, you know, so it was really cool. Yeah, I was trying to think of a funny story. One day we were going to be dancing at an alternative service, and I hadn't been to this building yet because but Monica had, because the evening before we were in different buildings, but then this night we were all going to be together. And Helen, who's our tour director, goes, Monica, can you go grab the flags out of the big tent and bring them over here? And she's like, yes, as long as I can have somebody with me. Chrissy, come with me. And I was like, okay. Thinking, she's been to this building once before. She'll know where it is. But I have no clue. And as we're walking, I asked her, I was like, oh, so you know how to get there, right? And she just, I hope, yeah, I think so. We'll pull out the map. And I was like, okay, yeah, we'll pull out the map. We'll find it. We'll be okay. So we get the flags. We start walking. We get to kind of this point where on the map it's not exactly that clear. And there's like a building, it's like another check-in place, and then behind there is another building, and then kind of right in front of us are these like bright blue chalets, and I was like, okay, but there's like lots of different ways to go, and I was like, okay, Monica, which way do we go from here? Do you remember? And she's like, yes, I recognize the blue chalets. We walked by them. So we walk towards the blue chalets, and we go all the way around along the fence, and hello, and all the way around the world, and end up right back where we were by the check-in place. And I was like, Monica, we've been here before. We've been walking for maybe like 20-30 minutes by now. And she's like, oh, look, there's a sign for it. Oh, it's that building right there. And it was the back building from where the check-in place was. I was like, it's been there the whole time. I was like, Monica, we just walked halfway around the world. She's like, I know, I just don't understand why couldn't he have blessed me with a photogenic memory? And I just stopped, and I had to huddle over. I was laughing so hard. I was like, do you mean photographic memory? And she's like, oh, yeah, that's the one. So we finally made it, and it was good. And yeah, and then we drove home, and it was quite a long drive, but we made it, and yeah, it was just an awesome week. This is Lily. I'm gonna wave hello.
I was waiting for him to watch the second half of Frozen.
I watched it this morning, but we could watch it all again if you wanted to. I watched Frozen for the first time ever, and it was really good, and now I think I'm gonna go watch it again. But yes, I love you all, and I'm sure there'll be many more tour stories to come, so please keep us in your prayers, especially our aching bodies, but we have this week off, which is really nice, so we should be able to recover. But I love you all, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!